It was a chilly October evening, and Halloween was just around the corner. My friends and I had planned a big Halloween party at my parents' house. We were all excited and ready to make it a memorable night. The day before the party, we gathered at my place to prepare. My mom, who always took Halloween decorations seriously, had boxes of spooky ornaments and props stacked up in the garage. We were determined to turn our house into the ultimate Halloween destination in the neighborhood. We adorned both the front and side of the house, making it impossible for anyone to miss our decorations. Halloween that year happened to fall on a Saturday, which meant that trick-or-treaters started early in the day. However, the weather was overcast, and there was a chance of rain in the forecast. Despite this, my mom insisted that we needed even more decorations to attract trick-or-treaters. She sent me to the attic to retrieve additional containers of decorations. The attic door was located upstairs, right above my bedroom. I climbed up the ladder and started searching for Halloween decorations. I found a few containers and was about to head back down when I heard an odd sound on the other side of the attic. It was like a piece of wood snapping or cracking under some sort of pressure. I paused and looked in the direction of the noise, but it was an attic, and odd sounds weren't entirely unusual. I descended with the containers but couldn't shake the eerie feeling that something was amiss. As the day progressed, the number of trick-or-treaters remained disappointingly low due to the cold and rainy weather. My mom had gone all out with candy, homemade goodie bags, and elaborate decorations, but it seemed like we wouldn't have many visitors that year. Later in the evening, as I was engrossed in a video game, I heard another noise from the attic. This time, it resembled footsteps. I cautiously stepped into the hallway, only to find the attic door wide open. Panic set in as I heard more sounds coming from the kitchen downstairs. I tiptoed to my parents' room and woke up my dad, whispering about the intruder. He immediately called 911, while my mom and I remained as quiet as possible. It was a tense waiting game until the police arrived. Once the police entered the attic, they discovered a homeless-looking man who had made himself at home among the containers of Halloween decorations. He had entered the house when he saw the front door open, seeking shelter for the night. We were relieved when they took the intruder away, but the incident left us all shaken. My parents decided not to press charges, but it was a stark reminder of how vulnerable we could be even in the safety of our own home. Halloween that year turned out to be more of a fright than we had bargained for. Halloween has always been a favorite holiday of mine, but there was one Halloween night that will forever be etched in my memory. It was the last year I went trick-or-treating, and I was determined to make it unforgettable. The day before Halloween, my friends Davis and Zach joined me for a sleepover at my place. We planned to skip school on Halloween, go trick-or-treating together, and then have another sleepover with just my girlfriend Amber. It was a multi-day celebration of Halloween, and I was excited. My basement had recently been transformed into a cool man cave, the perfect setting for our Halloween sleepover. The night before Halloween, we gathered to decorate the house. My mom was into Halloween, so we had boxes of spooky decorations ready to be set up. On Halloween day, we embarked on our trick-or-treating adventure, but things took a strange turn. As we were collecting candy, Amber suddenly yelped in pain. A guy in a clown mask had thrown a rock at her. He stood a short distance away, just watching us. It was unsettling, and we decided to call it a night, skipping the last few houses. Back at my house, after the trick-or-treaters were gone, Amber and I settled down in the man cave to watch a spooky movie. The evening was going well until the power suddenly went out. It was a clear night with no signs of a storm. We decided to investigate the generator in the backyard, but that's when things took a sinister turn. As we stepped outside, the feeling of being watched overwhelmed us. We heard a twig snap and saw a shadowy figure by the shed. It was the same man in the clown mask from earlier. He was standing there, staring at us menacingly. Panic set in as he charged toward us. We fled into the house and barricaded ourselves in the man cave. For what felt like an eternity, we heard footsteps coming down the basement stairs. We were trapped, and our lives hung in the balance. Amber texted 911 while I prepared to defend ourselves. The basement door creaked open and the intruder entered. We were terrified, but then we heard sirens outside. The intruder retreated and made his escape through the back door. We rushed upstairs to let the police in, but he had vanished into the night. The police couldn't locate the intruder, and that Halloween night left us traumatized. To this day, the memory of that menacing clown mask and the terror it brought haunts me. Halloween will never be the same for me. Halloween, the time of the year when we all let loose and celebrate with friends and family. In my case, it was a few years ago when I decided to throw a Halloween party at my parents' house. I invited around 50 friends and told them not to bring any strangers, as per my parents' strict rule. The night was going well. The party was in full swing, and the man cave in our newly renovated basement was the perfect setting. However, something strange happened. The motion-activated light in the backyard kept turning on, disrupting our spooky atmosphere. I went to investigate, but each time I reached the back door, the light turned off, and there was nothing to be seen. As the night wore on, the light continued to malfunction, leaving us frustrated. My friends and I decided to turn off the movie we were watching and use our phones instead. But then, a power outage struck, plunging us into darkness. This was unusual as there was no storm in sight. We couldn't help but feel uneasy. I went outside to check the generator in the backyard, accompanied by my girlfriend Amber. That's when we heard a twig snap and felt an eerie sensation. We couldn't see anyone, but it was as if someone was watching us. Panic set in as we heard more noises, and we retreated inside, locking the back door. The basement went silent, and then the unimaginable happened. We heard footsteps coming down the basement stairs. Amber and I huddled behind the bar, fearing for our lives. We listened to the intruder moving closer. My legs went numb, and I knew that we might have to fight for our lives. For what felt like an eternity, we heard the intruder in the basement, and then silence. Finally, sirens wailed outside, and the basement door opened. We heard the intruder running back upstairs and out of the house. We immediately went upstairs and let the police in. But to our dismay, the intruder had vanished into the night. To this day, I can't shake the feeling of dread when I go into the man cave alone. The police never caught the intruder, and the memory of that Halloween night still haunts me.